Welcome, everybody, to the final edition of season 4 of the Undisrupted podcast. Adam, it is the holiday season, and we are going to start off right off the bat with a very serious opening debate, and that is, what is the best holiday movie ever? Ready, set, go.
Ooh. You know what? Normally, you toss a question to me, and I go, but I'm going to think a little bit longer. I'm going to toss it back to you.
You're going to rebound it, bouncing right off. Man,
I'm rubber, you're glue.
Yes. I am okay, so yeah, I'm flummoxed on this one because I had like 4 in my head. So here's my thinking. The pusher / pot stirrer in me is like wants to say Die Hard, because I like it when people get really riled up at the fact that that's not a Christmas movie or a holiday movie or whatever, but there's, it does take place during Christmas, also with Gremlins.
And songs are played throughout the movie.
Absolutely.
It's not just takes place at Christmas time, but it is, and it's a theme because they're trying to get to the kids, by Christmas,
Right. So it is I agree. See, there, you just made the point for me. See, it is, and it's dare I say, a musical. No, it's not a musical. But so that's like, to me, that's my favorite, only because I like to push and get people kind of get their ire up, and then they'll come back at me with a Miracle on 37th Street or whatever, and I'm like, no, it's our 34th. Yeah, fourth, 7th, doesn't matter. There's a miracle happening 3 blocks down too, believe me.
Yes.
So which I've never seen, by the way, so I don't even I
actually watched it for the first time like a couple of years ago with my kids. They were like, oh, we got to watch this, Daddy, because they were talking about it at school. So yeah, you know what, I would have to say, because I watched this every year as a kid, and it's not necessarily quote unquote my favorite, but it's a family traditional favorite. If I'd say, it'd be It's a Wonderful Life. This is what my mom loves that movie. So I have to watch it in my house because it's kind of like I was indoctrinated to the movie, and it's been spoofed so many times that it's just, to me, that's just a holiday classic. I mean, It's a Wonderful Life. It's, for me. Now, New Age came out last year, a recent movie. My kids love it. The Netflix movie Jingle Jangle.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, they love it. It's a musical, and I'm not a musical fan or whatever, but it's pretty good. So yeah, that's for me and my family, my brood. Those are ours.
I do like a good musical, and I'm looking it up right now because there was a one that I took my wife to. The perfect amalgamation. My wife loves Hallmark movies. I absolutely hate them.
They film them all the time in the Hollywood of the South, by the way.
I imagine they do. And I was like, you know what? I can already predict how this movie's going to end. They have that little spin the wheel thing. Like, okay, she is she's divorced. She's widowed. She's coming from the big city, going to a small town. She has the one friend who's a person of color, right? It's like their one little drop of diversity they like to put in the Hallmark films. But we found a movie, because I love zombie films. There's a movie called Anna and the Apocalypse. I don't know if you've seen it. It is a
no.
It is a Christmas musical, zombie musical. It's bloody, it's gory, it's awful. Actually, it's not a great movie, but it was like, some friends were like, this is the perfect mesh of Carl and Renee, because she likes the Hallmark and he likes zombies, and it turned out it wasn't really that great. But yeah, don't check out Anna and the Apocalypse. Different. You know what? Kudos for them for trying something different.
Now, you know what? I used to wonder, like, why artists made like holiday albums. I'm like, nobody wants to hear you sing Christmas songs. But then it hit me that holiday songs and albums are played every year. Like, an artist, you can only be popular right now. Yeah. You only need that one hit song on your album. I mean, because the funniest thing in the world is the Jackson 5. They have a holiday album, and they're Jehovah's Witnesses. So like, they don't even celebrate Christmas.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, but they have like the mommy kissing Santa Claus.
Yes.
Yeah, which raises a whole lot of questions, because if Joe Jackson actually found out that mom was kissing Santa Claus, there'd be a whole lot of smoke in that house. But that's neither here nor there. But there are certain songs that you always hear around the holidays, and for us, holiday Christmas season in the United States of America starts in January, and it goes all the way until January. So
it never ends.
So what is a song that you hear that puts you in the holiday spirit this time of year?
All right,
like when you hear it, the season has started.
I'm gonna cue this one up. So I'm gonna share my audio here, and then we're gonna see if we break some sort of copyright laws and we have to edit this out later. Probably. All right. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Man, so this gentleman, whenever I hear any of his songs, I'm like, okay, this is it. I mean, I'm all in. I'm trying to find like the best one, but I can't find it right now. Oh wait, here, I'll just play this one. See if you can hear it out there, live audience members. Well, no, it just took me to an album. Never mind. Amazon Music,
Yeah,
I hate you.
yeah. As long as you don't play any. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
A little Nat, and he, he did that album. He had his daughter come out, and they did a song, posthumously.
Mm.
But whenever I hear the song, it's like it. I'm not a huge holiday Christmas person. I mean, everyone that knows me knows that. But when I hear this, I just feel like I want to gather by the fire. I want to sit there with a hot cocoa, even though it's 82 in Austin today. I got my hoodie on.
The crazy thing about that song, when it's starting, you can tell it's like a record recording, and it's almost kind of like pops at the beginning, which for me almost sounds like the fireplace, like the little pop of the logs or
crackle,
whatever. So
the chestnuts on the fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you?
When my daughter asked me, what are chestnuts? I'm like, you know what? We think about them. I don't think I've ever actually had chestnuts before.
We tried to make them. They don't turn out. We burned them in the fire. Chestnuts burning in the oven fire. It was not as good. What about you? What's your song?
Like for me, like the song that I hear, and I just know it's the holidays because my parents play this all the time. Because my mom's a huge Temptations fan. Is that Temptation song where it starts off in my mind, like Merry Christmas to all of you, and I cannot sing, so to say that I got my voice singing on an audio is something else. But that is the song. When I hear it, I'm like, I just know it is like the holiday times when I hear the Temptations. I mean, that's just it. The Temptations or the California Raisins. It just lets me know it's Christmas time.
They're kind of the same, right? Yeah. Yeah, this is a good album. The more I think about it, it is a good album. There's a lot of good stuff on the Temptations Christmas album. The Little Drummer Boy is good. Yeah.
Yeah. But those are those things that put people in the spirit. And for this, we're talking strictly about Christmas. And I know this is the holiday season. So you
Absolutely.
do have numerous holidays that are celebrated. You have Hanukkah, you also have Kwanzaa, and people may celebrate Festivus. That just
Festivus
actually became a holiday. Yeah. So, whatever you are celebrating, definitely enjoy this time. I know, like for me, Friday was my last day with my team before the break, and we had our meeting, and we did like maybe about 20 minutes of actual meeting time. But then I had I called them the Tech Squid Games. And I didn't tell you about this. We actually played some Squid Games with my team, and it was kind of this red light, green light trivia where they were in the auditorium and broken into teams. And as they got questions right, they got to move closer and closer to the stage.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah,
so
I started
physical
movements.
Yes.
I started to bring in some Nerf guns, but the TikTok thing had come out,
No.
The same week. So I was like, I don't want to bring any guns into the school, but it worked out pretty good. Yeah. And then we did like Pictionary. Once again, we had chart paper and markers, and it was various tech winter items that they had to draw and guess. And the people who were hesitant at the very beginning, you could really see that shell starting to come down. And by the end, everybody was fighting. And like, no, they're cheating. No,
they get so competitive.
Yes, man. Because my thing was, I said, it was unplug, unwind, and spend time. That was the three pieces that I gave them. I said, so since we're technology, we're always plugged in, we're always connected. You need to take some time to unplug, then unwind, and then spend time with those that you care about. So no matter what you celebrate, that's the thing I want to challenge everybody. Just take some time, after you listen to the podcast, to unplug. You want to listen to this first and subscribe and like, but then after that,
go back and share it with your family, like exactly what you learned from the podcast.
Yeah, make this part of your holiday tradition, listening to the Undisrupted.
I mean, it's subtle, but not so subtle that a leader doing that as a leader. I think it's great that you do that. I think that a lot of times I struggled with this admittedly as a leader of a team, is that I felt like I didn't spend enough time doing that. And whenever I did, it was always worth the investment, like doing an end of the year kind of wrap up event. It doesn't have to be like, I'm not saying like go get trashed at a bar or something. Like we did one where we did a scavenger hunt around the city, and I stood up like on this really high rise and kind of looked at the teams from up above and like would send them messages as to where to go to find their next clues. And then we ended up at one of those escape rooms. which is
Nice.
always a great, team building activity when you have to figure out if you can communicate to get out of these things, because there's so many clues in those escape rooms that you just don't see. But I felt like doing those kind of things. I didn't do that until later in my career, and I wish I would have done more of that, because that team building, it's continuous and ongoing. It shouldn't just be the beginning of the year. I love that Squid Games. Yes, player one has been
and then like I did like got them some gift cards, and we just I didn't have for the winners. I just drew names. Like at the end, they had their little Squid Game cards, and they had to put their names in them, and then they put them into a hat, and then it was drew, and probably about 10 gift cards, whatever. We gave them out or whatever. So like for $100 out of my pocket, I mean, it was all worth it to have the fun, because it's not necessarily about the winning something, but it's about the fun, the camaraderie, and you got to have that stuff. After the past 2 years, close to 2 years now, we've been going through this, because think about the coronavirus. I want to say it was November, December-ish of 2019,
right?
When it was
COVID-19.
Yeah. It was a thing then. So we're 2 years into this, and now we are having another flare. You're seeing sport teams, the sport. They're having to cancel games. I think the NHL has suspended their season for a little bit or something like that right now. You're seeing NBA teams running into issues. NFL schools now are already starting or planning to start off January virtual. You have some of your larger metropolitan districts saying, hey, we're going to start with the first couple of weeks of the break, or first week or so virtual. We've been instructing our teachers to make sure we use Canvas as our LMS. So we've instructed teachers to make sure their stuff is current. Not to say that we're going to go virtual, but we just want teachers to make sure if something does happen in the next 2 weeks, that we're ready to make a quick pivot if we have to, at a school or at a class level, because I do see it's still a thing. COVID's not done with us, unfortunately. It is one of those things where now every runny nose, every cough, every sniffle, you're still like, what are we gonna do? My daughter, she was coughing the other day. It's like, what is this? It's like, it's just regular seasonal, sinuses. It's nothing to do with that. But we all freaked out about it.
Yeah, it's allergy season here in Austin. If you guys can't tell, I keep rubbing my eyes because I'm like, my eyes are burning. I've got the sore throat, but it's just because the cedar in Austin is awful right now. It's always that bad for the next month. So that's also, you're like, oh great, now I've got something. But yeah, I don't know. So let's talk. This episode is going to be about predictions and resolutions. So predictions. I've got a few.
I predict coronavirus will still be here.
Oh, ding 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 ding. Let me see. Where's
you to it?
I need my sound effects board for this, because I feel like we're going to need a lot of these. Yeah. So yes, that's a good one. There's the correct bell. Where is it? Right here. Do we got it? Yeah, we go. Yes, there we go. I think so I wrote an article. Every year I write an article called Bold Predictions Sure Not to Happen. And it's just about crazy things I think they're going to happen in education or ed tech that may or may not happen, but they're semi-bold. Some of them are not. My one that I actually feel like if I had to put the most money into and would actually wager on, I would say is the great, I don't know what I'm calling it, the ed tech amalgamation or conglomeration or whatever we want to call it, buyout, is going to continue. If you've noticed the trends, and those of you that are in the circles know this, especially if you're a vendor listening to this, this. There's a lot of companies being bought out by a lot of companies or partnering with a lot of companies. And I think a lot of it has to do with the $200 billion of ESSER funds coming, or it's here and we're trying to get our hands on it. And some of it may just be like, companies are trying to expand their offerings, and so they're buying out more companies. So I think my prediction for 2022 is we haven't seen the end of the buyouts. I think they're just going to continue to ramp up and get more. Remember last year, I think Nearpod was bought out by Renaissance for $450 million, and Kahoot bought Clever, which was a weird that's kind of a different.
Haven't figured that one out yet.
Yeah, that's oil and water there, but
also I'm seeing with some of the buyouts, it's groups. So it's not necessarily another educational company buying out another educational company. It's these investor groups or whatever that own all these other entities. They just so happen to now are getting their diversifying their portfolio. So it's not necessarily like a Renaissance in this case, buying a product. It's a Carl Adam conglomerate. We pooled our money together. We also own properties and everything else, and we decided to go ahead and buy this other thing as well. So it's interesting when you see this happening, because I wonder do these entities have the best interest in K-12 in mind? What's going to be their end game, if you will? Is this just, hey, here's where some money is right now, let's go here? Or are they going to, because by and large, they're letting the companies kind of still do what they're doing.
Yeah.
They've just kind of changed, whose name is on the purchase order when you're buying it. So that's what I've seen thus far in the K-12 space. So it'll be interesting to see, are they going to make changes and with these products, because this is the time for innovation, as we've said before, with everything we're seeing happening in education in the world. I hope these buyouts don't stifle innovation, because a lot of times when these big companies get them, they know at the end of the year they have this number that this company's been able to make repeatedly. So are they just saying, hey, you're supposed to make this money every year, and so because do that, they don't innovate? They're not as agile to try to push the market. And with the buy up, is it going to have less competition out there also driving that innovation? So those are those things that kind of concern me when I see these buyouts happening.
Yeah, that last point you made is 100% accurate. I think that's the biggest concern for me, is that if everybody's monopolized, then what are we going to get in terms of offerings as educators? Because now it's like, well, you can have two choices. You can either do Microsoft Pearson, conglomerate, or HMH, who's combined with Facebook and 5 other companies to, at some point you got to have I still like to kind of have the mom and pop ed tech companies that are like going out there and innovating. I think that'll still continue to happen, probably more so than ever now too. But I feel like they're going to get squashed quicker. Yeah.
The metaverse is going to be an education provider soon.
That's a good prediction. I think that's awesome.
That's prediction. No, that's mine.
No, I love it. No, I was actually, it's in my article too. That's funny, because that was one of the first things I look back, and in 2014 or 15, I wrote about some sort of, it wasn't called the metaverse, but I wrote about some sort of online universe taking over, and it didn't happen back then. I don't know that it will in the future.
It's like Third Life or something, it's not a second life, it's having a third life.
I talked to some I recently got to sit with some engineers for a ed tech company I won't name, but they do a lot of programming, and I just said, what do you guys, I always talk to educators, but I was like, let me hit their point of view, and they're like, yeah, we don't know. We think they were thinking at this point it's like a neat way to do meetings, because like you can go into a meeting and actually like everyone sees each other, you have like your papers and stuff in front of you, it's all virtual, mind you, and there's like a whiteboard and you can talk and have conversations, you hear your actual voice. So I mean, obviously the limitation right now is that not everybody has goggles or Oculus goggles or whatever, but I think you're right on point with that prediction. I think that's I mean, one-to-one, when's the first one-to-one VR headset school district coming? I mean, it sounds silly, but guess what? I bet you in the next, I don't know, 3 to 5 years, I'm going to guess some school's going to do it.
Here's now this is not my bold prediction for this year.
Okay.
But this is one that I can see happening within the next 5. I see a Google Facebook merger happening.
No, you think? Where's Apple? What about Apple? All of them.
Once that happens, it's in game, man. That's it.
And then Disney's going to buy all of them, and then
it's going to be an Apple Disney merger
versus Facebook. Oh, that could happen. Yeah. Microsoft is going to be like, "What about me?"
Yeah, I think Apple's going to. I'm surprised Apple hadn't bought Yahoo yet. I'm pretty sure that's like.
Yeah,
I think they partner very well together, so I could see that happening. But I mean, I do see Facebook getting into that K-12 space, because that's the piece that they're missing in their portfolio. If they're really trying to have this whole metaverse piece, because they kind of played around with having some kind of Facebook K-12 thing, but it hasn't really, really done anything with it. Yeah, but once they do that, and the reason why I jokingly thought they're Google, once they get some kind of LMS footprint, where you can submit stuff or post or whatever, that everybody's kind of mimicked it with Schoology, and I think Lightspeed had something back in the day that was kind of Facebook-ish. That's something, but what's better than something like Facebook? Actually having Facebook as that platform. So having that there, I think definitely would be that piece to make this learning now 24/7 because kids are on social media, whether it's, and Facebook is not just Facebook. They also have Instagram. That's part of their portfolio. So, you have that component in there. So if they can put those structures in place to secure it, I can see it happening.
I think we probably actually now I think about we forgot probably the Monolith, the biggest player in the space. And she's in my room right now listening to me. Alexa, how are you? I mean, Amazon, they run all the back end. Those of you that are tech leaders have felt the sting of the AWS server crash of like 2 weeks ago from when we recorded this podcast. And think about AWS and Amazon and I've done a lot of work with them recently. And they're taking a unique approach to the space. They're not doing like what Facebook did, like you were saying. They didn't do like a K-12, we're going to come and hammer in that way. They're kind of doing it a different direction and saying like, let's support schools. Let's figure out a way to, how do we ramp this up and not be necessarily the forward facing necessarily yet. But they have a great future engineer programs that I absolutely love. I got to interview a bunch of teenagers recently that were in that program, and this is like, they're pushing the diversity envelope. They're really trying to get lots of different users out there, and also just these kids. I mean, if you're a high school kid right now, there's an opportunity with that future engineer program because it's full scholarship, full ride, everything. And it doesn't take much to apply from what I've heard, but it's just not out there yet. I'm like, they're trying to give back a little bit, but they're also going to space and oddly shaped rockets. So,
all right. So next prediction, Carl. What's your next prediction?
I predict there will be a TikTok university. There's going to be an online academy of TikTok videos that are all educationally themed. It's going to be the educational safe haven of TikTok, because at some point we have to realize that that the genie is out of the bottle. It ain't going back in. We need to have some sort of empowerment when it comes to TikTok, and not just run away from the challenges and stuff, but actually use it for good in terms of education. So somebody out there will come up with TikTok U, and it'll be it'll have educational tie-ins to it, and there'll be challenges and stuff like bring your teacher coffee today. And it's the second most used social media site right now by teenagers. Can you predict the number? Do you know what the number one is, by the way?
Do they consider like WhatsApp
no,
a social media platform?
It's not that deep, man. It's an obvious one if you think about it, but it's just we don't usually think of it as social media, but it is a social media site because it has videos on it. And
YouTube?
Yes, YouTube's number one, still at 85%, but 72% of teenagers have TikTok, which is now tied or surpassed Instagram, which I think is at 69% now. Yeah.
But it's so weird, and it is scary at times when you look at how social media has kind of really just become a thing, and we feed the beast. So something cannot be a thing until we see it and make it a thing.
Right.
Like it was a video I saw, and this mother, her son or baby was in the hospital with RSV.
Okay.
So, those parents out there know RSV is like something, it's a lung breathing virus that babies get, and she's doing a TikTok dance asking for thoughts and prayers for her baby. I mean, it's like it's funny because she's like, rocking and rolling, and it's like this upbeat song, and she's like doing the dance, and her baby's just sitting there like, but she's like, pray for my baby. He can't breathe good, but she's like rocking in this dance. I'm like, is that how you want people to pray for your kid? Because I don't know.
Go find me.
But it's when I look at the age of the individual, but this is their thing now. So I mean, if she was in her early 20s or whatever, but this is this generation. I got to remember, like, I'm in my 40s now, so it's one of those things where it's a different space where this generation, these what is this, Gen
Z?
What now?
Gen Z, yeah, Zoomers.
Gen Z, and followed by the Zoomers.
Yeah,
this is what they know. I mean, my 4-year-old, he's talking about TikTok. Yeah, which is crazy. He's like, "Hey, Daddy, are you gonna post your podcast on TikTok?" I'm like, what are you talking about? You're 4.
But we should. We talked about this. We need to have the reaction video where you like do some sort of crazy hack, and then I'm over there doing the what reaction videos, and like zoom in, and Sorry, I just broke my microphone stand. But yeah, they. Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, that's really all those reaction videos are. But did you see that?
But I could definitely see that becoming a bigger thing, which is so funny that we were about a year or so away from TikTok going away to some
Yes.
degree
Yeah.
with the previous administration.
Yeah.
Uh,
And now it's just
here's
exploded.
my bold prediction
Oh.
for next year. It's going to be a mess going into November of next year because we're going into midterms.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this here in Georgia, and I know a lot of schools are seeing this across the country in the library media space. That's becoming a battleground right now, as far as obscenity laws or whatever you want to call it. That they're calling it obscenity when they talk about some of the books that are in the media center, and it's become this flagpole for some people. Even in my district, I had a request for the books that we just ordered. We just put in a purchase order for close to $100,000 worth of books through various publishers. Followed Bound to Stay Bound and Sora Overdrive, and a group wanted an open records to see what books we were getting.
Yeah.
To try to, I'm assuming, to try to find an I gotcha moment there. So going into this year, I can see schools becoming a new battleground for people that have political aspirations. So I just encourage all of our library media leaders, all of our tech leaders that are out there listening to get your ducks in order. Make sure your procedures are clear and you're following your procedures, because I do see someone, a small group coming after somebody for whatever reason. So make sure your procedures are clear and you're following those to cover your six, because I do see that becoming a thing this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's even expanded into the public library space, outside of the schools too, where now I know that I just saw in one of the Future Ready library groups a post about that. It was starting to expand into, like, now they're starting to question what's being published in there, and it's a tricky thing, because we all as parents have our own beliefs and systems, and those of you listening out there, this is not a political podcast, so we're not going to get into that. But I do see the unfortunate part of it is that, schools are going to be part of a leverage technique used by politicians. It's like, we're going to start using the school as a pulpit to that's not new, by the way, but I think it's expanded over the last few years. So I think, you're right on point with that prediction. So 2022 November, man, it's gonna, and guess where, I don't know about in Georgia, but here in Texas, where do you vote? You vote in a school building. I mean, the school buildings are also the voting centers, which is kind of ironic. So you're gonna have, that part of life I don't miss, of being in schools. The politics, I know you still go through the politics, and I'm not talking about politics like politicians, but politics of actually office politics. We've had many episodes about this, so I won't get into it, but I do think that's a not so, but it is a bold prediction, but I think you're gonna be right on point with that one. I'll give you one more. Which one should I pick? Oh, okay. One of my last ones that I'll give you is this one. I think the Great Resignation, or whatever we're calling it, the New York Times calls it the Great Resignation, which is all the people leaving, not coming back because now they can work remotely and all this. It's obviously affected education, it's affected our leadership. I think it's time that schools are going to have to think differently about how we hire and retain teachers. We can't keep doing this thing where we say, oh, you have this degree, so you're gonna teach ELA. Oh no, now we have some teachers lost, so you're gonna have to teach this and math and this, because we're a small school district. I think we're gonna have to start outsourcing this. I think we're gonna have to start seeing more and more online teachers as a part of it. I could see a great hybrid coming up in the future, where we have schools having media centers in their school buildings where kids are taking online classes, master classes, whatever. And then if you're a teacher that's like, man, I'm a really good teacher online, but I don't want to be in a school building, all of a sudden you could be making money from several districts teaching classes synchronously or asynchronously. So you're meeting a need, you're getting paid, but then also these students that maybe don't have access to teachers are going to have access to that. So to me, I think, I don't know, I've heard some early schools thinking about it, but no one's actually jumped forward and say, we're doing it this way, because we're so rooted in our traditional thinking when it comes to funding and geographic placement and state funds and all that. So that's going to be a hard one, but I think that's going to happen. Maybe not this year, but this will be the beginning of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, especially with now the increased number of the student devices, the renewed emphasis on creating high-speed internet to everybody, with the work through the FCC, increasing that. I definitely see now that connectivity becoming more accessible to individuals, devices becoming more accessible to individuals. I can see now the the freedom of individuals to learn now becoming more and more of something that you'll see now in your rural areas and your high-tech areas.
Yep. Yeah. There's
Now,
a couple companies out there doing it too, by the way. I know that Elevate K-12 is one I've heard of that does online. Rex Academy, who I've done some work with, is now providing computer science teachers, because a lot of schools say, well, we don't even have a teacher that can teach computer science. So they're like, well, we'll offer one remotely for you. So like
we need to have some stuff for like for K-12 leaders though. I mean, that'd be cool if they were able to develop something for leaders to do.
Yeah.
Like that, like master classes for K-12 leaders.
K12leaders.com is cool. Adam and I have been checking out that's a new kind of social media platform for just leadership in K-12. I think that would be interesting, because you're right. There needs to be something out there for leadership out there. And I wonder if a platform like K12leaders.com or something like that could offer like some sort of masterclass just in, one-to-one deployments. Or, I mean, I'm just getting very specific here, but I mean, it could be how to navigate a board meeting.
Yeah. I know like Future Ready's probably got some stuff coming down the pipe pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
That's going to touch on some of this stuff. So, stay tuned to that.
Yeah.
No pressure, Future Ready team.
I just assume you knew something. I was like, okay, that's awesome. Cool. Like, I'm not going to spoil it. If Adam knows, and I don't know. But yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm going to break the rules, and here's my safe prediction for this is my safe prediction. My safe prediction is that in January it's going to be amazing at FETC. I know you're hosting something at FETC. I know I'm going to be on the slate as a featured speaker at FETC.
We're doing a session together.
Bree's going to be down there.
Tom,
Future Ready, Tom. So Future Ready is going to be all up in FETC, and that's happening. And then also the summer of 2022. All these educators are going to be down in Nolens, and I can't wait, because we're going to have to do some live
absolutely
podcast. I wanted to set up a table on Bourbon Street and do some of that stuff, but that's going to be season 5, so but
that might be our last season if we do that. But I mean, I'm with you. I feel like we need to do a live and online.
If we have beads while we're doing it, just know that's going to be the last
words of wisdom. We throw beads out. We don't do them traditionally. Yes, we do a very non-traditional that. I'm with you on that. Yeah. So what about resolutions, real quick, as we wrap up? Do you have any resolutions you personally want to share? Or like, I'm really bad about resolutions. I have a bunch. I try to think of like mental and fiscal and physical and but anything, do you go down that road? Do you do resolutions?
I used to, and then I was like, why am I wasting my time coming up with something that I'm not going to follow? I try to have which basically is a resolution. I try to have goals. My 2022 goals. My 2022, which sounds weird to say 2022 because it's like I'm saying 2020, which was a horrible year.
Twin.
This is like, hopefully it's not 2020 part 2.
No. Yes. No.
But one thing that I definitely want to work on for 2022, and this is something that a lot of folks have been asking me about, and this is something that is going to happen in 2022. The book or books will be written. So for this coming year, the Dr. Adam Fayal book is coming out, is being written.
What?
Yes, I have yet to officially put ink on paper for the deal.
Truth bomb.
But it is coming this year. I've kind of wrote out the skeleton, so the book is coming. Just got to decide where I want to have it published. But yeah, book's coming.
And mine will be out at FETC, hopefully. The Ready, Set, Fail with a forward by Dr. Adam Fayal. Yes, I've heard of him. It's all about failure and recovery. If you heard our last episode with Dr. Sarah Thomas, we talked a little bit about this too. But it's I'm excited. Yeah, I'm super pumped to hear that you're putting pencil paper, because you guys only hear us, but I mean, if you ever seen Adam write, he's got some good writing. He needs to put more out there. So I'm super pumped to see what he's going to put out there, and I'll be one of the first, of course, to buy the book as well.
You're going to write the forward for it, so I mean,
that's true. I get to sneak preview it. I get the forward. That's perfect. I'm the same way with resolutions. I think goals, and I'm not a big believer in this because of the calendar's turning that you have to just set goals. Then I'm always I'm always like a 3 to 6 month out. Like, what are we doing the next 3 months? We're doing the next 6 months. And a lot of it ties to, I mentioned like physical is one. I mean, obviously getting in shape is always a big part of it, but that doesn't need to start in January. It should be always. And then it's
like round.
Yeah.
Is that the shape you're talking about?
I'm really working on that. I'm getting closer and closer. I'm worried. I would like to, by New Orleans, be in a better place, but maybe we'll have a contest with some of our friends on that.
Yeah,
We've done that.
I'm trying to grow a beard. That's going to be my thing. I'm trying. I've never been able to grow any facial hair, so
it's coming in, man. I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
if you're a writer, you have to have a beard. I mean, male writers, that is not female writers, but male writers. Like at some point, the beard just has to get out. Mine will escape soon. So yeah, physical, emotional, mental. So those of you out there doing resolutions, I always say, like, don't just do them just about physical, because there's so much more things that we can work on. So like, I honestly, one I just have, it's just kind of a small one, but I'm going to try to read more books this year. I was an next door neighbor of mine who does she's an HGTV podcast, actually a show too on HGTV. She told me she read 109 books this year, and I was like, that is impressive. Wow. Now she listened to most of those books. She does a lot of audio.
Yeah, there we go.
So I think I'm going to start doing that. And you can get them from the public library. We're just talking about the library. You can actually just rent these from the public library for free now at your local library. So check that out. I think that's going to be my thing. I want to listen and read more books as the new year, as we go through the new year, because I think that's just, it helps me. It makes me feel better. It gets me kind of escaped into that world for a minute.
Yeah, and one cool thing that we're doing, I know you mentioned that, and this is on topic but off topic, a cool program that we're getting ready to do in my district now is this thing called the Play Card, where we're partnering with our public library systems, and every student will be able to utilize their student number as their library card. So they'll automatically have access to everything in the public libraries in our region just by using their student number. And it's totally separate from their normal library card. So they already have a fine or fee that's separate from this one. And there's no fines or fees for late. The only fines and fees that be charged, they don't return an item. But going to your point, to get them more access to more resources right now. So definitely something we're excited about.
I love that. Well, listeners out there, when this podcast goes live, we're going to challenge you as well as you're listening to this podcast. What are your resolutions? What are your predictions for 2022? We would love to hear more about that. We thank you, as always, for joining us and listening to the podcast. This has been the Undisrupted Podcast.
Leave it in the comments below. Leave it in the comments below.
we could have some comments. I mean, they would last for a long time on the iTunes. You could also, of course, post on Twitter, Facebook. We do have a Facebook group if you guys want to join it. We try to post some
YouTube.
fun little nuggets. The YouTubes, you can post comments on the YouTubes too. The TikTok, not yet the TikTok,
not officially, but like you can find. I'm on the TikTok, and I'll put something on there, but I don't even know what my TikTok handle is. It's for Ask Adam 3 was gone already, so I think it's like Ask Adam _3 maybe or something. I don't know. I probably should go. I should probably go get like that. I should probably go get an account now that I think about it. I bet you Mr. Hooker is gone. But yes, it's never mind. There's so many different ways we can go down that road. This has been the Undisrupted Podcast, brought to you by Future Ready Schools. He's Adam, and you can follow him on TikTok, not at Ask Adam 3. Yeah, follow me on Twitter, and then I'll probably post my TikTok on there.
There you go.
I have like 3 videos on there, but it's a work in progress.
I love it.
And he is Mr. Hooker, and you can follow him at Mr. Hooker. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, even animals, we are better together.
You're better. Undisrupted.
Disrupted.
Happy 2022, everybody. Cheers. This podcast is made possible by the generous support of Amazon Web Services.